White House is set to announce a series of executive actions against so-called patent trolls. To discuss what this means and why the White House has gotten involved, we have Journal reporter Brent Kendall down in D.C. to talk to us about it. Brent, how are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm all right. So the patent trolls getting a little heat from the White House. What's up?
Well, so the White House first thing this morning issued a series of executive actions and legislative recommendations that are designed to curtail or deter arguably abusive lawsuits in which companies that hold patents but don't actually make any products sue companies that do and pursue licensing fees from them, and in some cases try to keep their products from being sold on the market.
Right. Now, how much of this is sort of an offshoot of the patent wars going on in the tech space? I mean, this has become, actually, I mean, just patents alone have become a very big business.
It has. I mean, and a lot of this is tech related because your everyday tech gadget embodies hundreds, if not thousands, of patents, and any one of those can be subject to a patent infringement lawsuit and can cause trouble for a company that is developing a product. Part of the problem here is deciding who is a patent troll. I mean, companies use their patents strategically, and one of the arguments from people even that don't make products is that they have valid patents and they have the right to monetize those, and if they can't build products on their own, they ought to be able to extract licensing fees from companies that do. That said, there are clearly abuses in the system. And we have patent holders who it's not clear who they are, and they sue multiple entities. And I mean, there are some questionable actions in the system, and that is what the president is aiming to target today.
All right. So where does this go? Where does this? He sends this to Congress, right?
Well, so there's two components to this.
Mm-hmm.
There are some executive actions. I mean, they quite frankly nibble around the margins some. I mean, one of the things that the president is going to do on his own is have the Patent Office initiate a rulemaking that's going to make it easier for people when they become a defendant in a patent action to know the real owner of the patent who they're facing, which is not always clear. Sometimes they're sued by shell companies, and when you're deciding whether you want to fight somebody or settle with them, it helps to know who you're facing and what patents they have. So the bigger proposals that the White House recommended today are all things that Congress would have to jump in on, and any real changes in the system would have to come from there. One of the big proposals the White House is recommending today is what would be called sort of a fee-shifting proposal. So if you are a so-called patent troll and you file a lawsuit and then lose in court and a judge finds that your lawsuit was abusive or frivolous, that it would be sort of a loser-pay system, and that there would then be a downside to filing these suits, because if you lost, you would be responsible for paying the legal fees and other things that the defendants incurred. That would also give sort of defendant companies an incentive not to just settle these cases, because they could see a payday at the end of the day if they face frivolous lawsuits. But remains to be seen what Congress might do here. Many of these proposals were already on the table in Congress, and it's not clear that anything's going to happen quickly.
Right. Brent, does any of this sort of point up to the fact that the patent system is sort of behind the times in terms of tech companies? I know a lot of companies, they just kind of start issuing patents for everything in the technology, whether or not it's really a unique technology or not. I mean, how much is the patent system itself running behind the times?
Well, that is an argument that many people make, and they say, look, one of the real core problems here is all these weak patents in the system. We've had this backlog of patent applications, we've had this explosion of patent applications, and we've had granting of patents that are questionable. I mean, these are patents that have been issued by the Patent Office and are now part of the system. And then when you have all these patents floating around, if they're not of high quality, you sort of create the environment where these lawsuits can proliferate. So that is certainly still a question hanging over the patent system, and particularly in tech, and something that's not easily going to be solved.
Yeah. All right, Brent, good story, good stuff. Thank you very much.